question people might have is, what do I do about flea and ticks? Some parts of the country they're worse, some parts they're better. Right. Any general advice?
If you're even going to be in a flea and tick area, which is almost everywhere in the summertime, then I would go with one of the flea and tick preventatives. Either the top spots like Frontline or the generic Fipronil, or the other one, the
Advantix.
Advantix, thank you. Yes, that would be a good one as well. Yeah.
And are there any, should we be worried about them as side effects? We all hate putting chemicals on, but is there just nothing better to do?
Like the Frontline or the generic Fipronil, that doesn't even go to the stomach. That's what I like about it. You want to avoid the Heart's products, because the Heart's products go systemically. You basically, what you're doing with the Heart's products is you're poisoning the animal to poison the flea and tick, right? Now the Fipronil, like Frontline or Advantix. Well, the Advantix is systemic because it's an oral medication. It's topical, right? Okay, I'm not too familiar with that one. We use the Frontline products up here, but they don't go through like the liver and the kidneys and all that kind of stuff like a regular medication would. So those are safe, and yeah, I haven't had any problems with those topicals.
And you just, I've always wondered if I'm just squeezing it on the shoulder blades and right in there, how that covers the whole body.
Right, it gets distributed through the fatty layer of the skin, so to speak. That's about the easiest way I can put it. Yep.
And it just goes around and...
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. I know. You just think... And they have that little greasy spot there for a little while, a day or two afterwards, and you just let it be. I think most of them would say don't bathe for at least 3 days afterwards, or 3 days before.
Right.
And they say 3 days before because they want that fatty layer in there so the stuff goes through it.
Well, I'm going to use Advantix because I've heard from you that it was better. We're going to the east, Florida and North Carolina, where ticks and flies and fleas are awful.
You're going to the high density area, right? And up here we're having mild problems up here, and we just use the Fipronil or the Frontline products up here. But yeah, if I was going to go to the southeast where it's really humid and big area, then I think Advantix is a little bit more,
a little better
coverage. Yep.
So when we're talking about fleas and ticks, what if my dog is on the Advantix or Frontline and he still gets a tick? Does that mean it's not working?
No, it just means that the tick has to bite the animal to be poisoned and die. So you still may find an occasional tick on there, and you just gently remove it. Is all. The Advantix Frontline, that will prevent them from reproducing or from gathering on the pet. But you still may find one or two on there. So you just gently pull it off. You don't have to burn them off.
No, you don't have to burn them off.
That little tick tool. Tweezers work just as well, or just your finger, and just gently pull it off and then kill it, and that's it.
Well, everyone says, "Oh, but the head's still in there."
I know, yeah, I know.
No,
the head's that's a wives' tale. Even if a little tiny part of its jaw is in there, it's not going to cause any illness or reaction or anything like that.
Now, I guess Lyme's is in the news a lot, and I get ticks too. Of course, you're not a doctor, but should I be concerned about that?
In certain areas of the country, maybe, yeah. And back to vaccines, there is a Lyme vaccine for dogs.
There is.
Right. But it depends who you read and the efficacy. If you're in an endemic area, then it may not be a bad idea, but I don't know. I'm not sold on the vaccine for it. Up here, we're not in an endemic area. The West, especially the Southwest, I think it'd be...
You wouldn't recommend it here?
No, I wouldn't recommend it here.
It seems to me like it's the Northeast is the worst.
The Lyme County I forgot what state it is, but that's how it got its name, is the Lyme County.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Lyme disease was, right.
So if you were there, you might at least give it some thought.
Yeah, you can check with your veterinarian in certain areas of the country and see if it's an endemic area or if you see a lot of cases of it, then maybe consider it. But flea and tick prevention, or tick prevention, is the best way to control that. And if you're going to stay in an area with a high rate of Lyme disease, okay, you may want to consider the vaccine.
Right.
Otherwise, just focus on tick prevention and you'll be just as well off.
Well, that goes back to your original point, to study the area you're going to, see what impact it can have on your pets, and take whatever steps are necessary.
Exactly.
So, good advice. Well, leading kind of along with that question, fleas and ticks, is heartworm exaggerated? Is it something I should really be worried about?
It's in every 50 states. So if you're traveling, they should be on it, the preventative, for sure. Up here, when I first moved here, I didn't think we was going to have a problem here. We're 6,500 feet, Canyon's 7,000 feet. But that first year, we had 2 positives from the Grand Canyon. And then we see about 4 positive cases a year. We've seen well over 20 cases in the 5 years we've been here. So we do have it up here, and we do recommend prevention. And then if, I would say we're a low density area for heartworms, but it's still here. You head down, especially southeast, you go to Florida. If you live in Florida and your dog is not on heartworm prevention, you've got about 80-90% chance they'll get it.
Is that right? So it's a high risk.
Oh, when I was in Florida and we did a lot of rescue animals and Humane Society animals, I'd say about 8 out of 10 were positive for heartworms.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was really high density here.
And once they've got it, that's a terrible disease.
It's tough and it's a long treatment. There's treatment for it. You can get rid of them, but it's a 3-month protocol. And it's kind of expensive. And you've got the potential of negative side effects well, you got worms living in the heart and you kill them off. You know, you might throw an emboli or run some lung diseases, that kind of thing. So just better to prevent it.
Right. And the prevention's simple.
Yeah.
What are the steps if I'm going to deal with heartworm? What do I do?
Do you mean to prevent it?
To prevent it.
To prevent it. It's usually once a month tablet form. And the nice thing about the heartworm preventatives, majority of them, also control a lot of the intestinal parasites. Roundworms, hookworms, whipworms.
Oh, really?
Right. So you kind of get dual protection. You get the protection against the heartworm and keep them clean with roundworms, hookworms, whipworms, that kind of thing.
Well, that's very good.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's another reason to have them all on heartworm prevention.
And because I know I'm going back east next, I just, we tested Cody. We did the blood draw. You have to do the blood draw first.
You got to test them, make sure they're negative, and then get them on the monthly prevention. And then test them every year after that. And
you're running a deal now, I guess most vets are, that it's $100 for the year's supply and the blood test.
Right. You buy a year's supply of heartworm prevention, and the test is free, basically, is how we do that. Some of the parasites that the heartworm prevention won't cover are like tapeworms and giardia. Okay. So those aren't covered in your heartworm preventatives. The tapeworms, if you're in a tapeworm area, which is, even we have tapeworms up here, you can go to any of your pet supply stores and get tapeworm medications. And maybe just once or twice a year, deworm them for tapeworms.
Oh, so it's over the counter?
Over the counter, yes.
And it will just say tapeworm?
Tapeworm, right. The name of the drug is praziquantel, which is kind of a long, big name. But it's over the counter now.
Right.
So you can get that anywhere.
So if you get it in January and June, you'd be covered for the year?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and no harmful side effects? Don't worry about that?
No, because you're only doing it once. Yeah, it's a really easy thing to do. And it's tapeworms kind of are, if you run a regular fecal test that we run, tapeworms can fly under the radar too.
Oh, really?
Those fecal tests don't always pick up tapeworms. The most time we diagnose tapeworms is the clients will see little grains of rice, living or not. Sometimes they're moving, sometimes they're not, around the rear end or in the feces. Mm-hmm. And that's tapeworms. So most of the time when we diagnose tapeworms, the clients are telling us it's tapeworms.
Right. So no harm in preventing that.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
My Homer got tapeworms, and he had gotten them from a rabbit he had killed and eaten. And I guess that's part of the life cycle.
Right, the rabbits or fleas. So
Right.
fleas can carry them as well as the rabbits.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a pretty big issue, I would guess, here in Arizona. Because there's so many rats.
We see a significant number. I just had one 2 days ago with tapeworms.
Right.
Right.
But no big deal.
For the little house dog that never goes out, chases rabbits, that kind of thing, and there are fleas, you may not need that tapeworm deal. But if you've got a dog that's out chasing rabbits or picks up the occasional fleas, it would be a good idea to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And another thing, let me ask you, is about mice.
Oh, mice.
I get mice. I figure once a year, maybe twice a year, I'll get mice in the vehicle, in the RV or whatever. Does science have any preventative for mice infestations?
Oh, whoever finds that out is going to be a rich man.
He sure is. Build a better mousetrap.
Because I've had mice in my fifth wheel. They get in the ceiling. And you hear them skittle across there. I've tried the snap traps, but the one I like is the electronic, the rat zapper. That I found works the best, and it's easier to set up than trying to deal with those darn snap traps and stuff.
I catch myself more than I catch mice with snap traps.
Yeah. And you said you like the sticky traps. I used that when they got my ceiling, and I had to use the sticky trap. I couldn't fit a big thing up in there. You had little sticky traps. That's how I cleared that out. But yeah, run up here. We've got a lot of field mice. We've got the pack rats.
And there's warm in your house, and there's good smells and food and water, and
so
they're coming in.
That's just something.
They're not dumb.
No.
You like it in there, so do they.
They're sneaky. I don't know how they get in half the time, but they do. They find an area. Yeah.
So the electronics are just kind of a box that zaps them. Is that right?
Right. It's I wish I could remember the brand name, but you can check it on the internet. There's several different brands, and actually I've seen them at Home Depot now carry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Home Depot. A lot of hardware stores carry them nowadays too, and it's cleaner than the snap traps. Easy. If you catch one, you just dump it out and then reset it. You're good to go. You don't have to try to mess with them. And they work very well, and it just zaps them, so it's very humane too. Not that it's a mouse, but we still don't want to. I
don't want to torture it.
Exactly. Right. We want it done fast and humane. So.
Right. So overall, it's just no big deal. I've found it is just no big deal having a pet on the road. Vet care is available everywhere.
Yep.
And maintaining a relationship with a vet has been easy for me.
Yeah.
And very positive, very rewarding. So. Well, Dr. Jacoby, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate it.
Sharing your experience with us.
Absolutely.
So go out there and get yourself a dog and have a good time. Have a good life.
Yes, for sure.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate you.
Appreciate that. So his teeth are all clean, everything is great. Dr. Jacoby was so kind, and now we know all about taking care of our dogs and pets on the road. It's no big deal. I've had 2 dogs now on the road, Homer and Cody, and some fairly severe illnesses, and I've never had a problem getting and keeping good veterinary care. Don't let your pets keep you from coming. There's no question about it. Having a pet can be inconvenient on the road. What do you do with them if you want to go for a long hike? What do you do with them if you need to fly home and be with family? What do you do with them in the national parks where they're just simply not allowed outside? But I'd never even give thought to giving up my pet for those minor inconveniences. He's worth more than that to me. And the money, I just spent a lot of money to get his teeth cleaned, so there's certainly a dollar investment involved. So the love that he gives and allows me to give him, it's more than worth it to me, and I know it is for many of you as well. To have that kind of love is worth any cost. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you gained something from it. So we'll talk to you next time. Until then, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you later.